90 minutes, there is one guy who's able to sell you his product without you getting off your seats. And that's incredible. Another question. Oh, okay. Before the question, the lesson from the slide is this. The most amazing stories are the ones that allow audience to imagine and build things. There are two interesting examples that I want to take here. One is the open source technology, right? So open source technology, everyone would have probably heard of it, right? Open source is something wherein, let's say, I've written a piece of code, I would just want to sort of let it go open, right? One interesting example of this open source technology is something called $1 a day. I don't know if you've ever heard of this NGO or not. By the way, this was an experiment which was started for just 1 year. The experiment has shut shop, but $1 a day was an experiment wherein these guys created a website. They basically created a platform. They started uploading projects of a do-good kind nature projects, right? And they started asking people, would you give $1 a day to any project that you like, right? And those projects were really emotional, right? So some people who were opening schools for poor kids, so on and so forth. And $1 a day became so incredibly, so phenomenally successful that they finally decided that, look, we want to just create this for 1 year, and that's about it. And what they've now done is they've made this entire platform open source. What they're saying is, here is my source code. If you want to start $1 a day tomorrow in your country, like tomorrow, right? Or right now, just take my source code, copy and paste, edit the content, and you're done. And that's interesting. Imagine the power that you could have if your story that you're creating for your own startup was to become open source in nature. Something that anyone else could use at any given point in time. Copy and paste and take ahead. That, by the way, will not be stealing your IP. That, by the way, would actually be creating on a base something that you have generated. And I'll give you a very amazing example of this later in one of the slides. An important question. Look, in this room, we are talking very small, right? हम बहुत छोटी बात कर रहे हैं. वो छोटी बात ये है that we are talking marketing, we are talking storytelling. And we are probably looking at acquiring our first 100 users. Some startups here, Free Culture, for example, has gone across to probably many lakhs, maybe many million users. The bit is, how do you inspire an entire era? How do you inspire an entire generation of people? How do you do that? Without spending a lot of money. How do you do that? Sorry? So look at this. Again, a question for everyone. When did 1 minute and 10 seconds change the world? Anyone? And I'll very quickly move on. Anyone can take a guess on this? Sorry? World Trade Center probably took more than a minute to sort of fall out, but no, it is not that. Anyone who recognizes this video? No, yes, no, yes, no. I'm sure no. Okay, cool. So Steve Jobs did, right? So Steve Jobs in the year 1984. By the way, this screenshot was from a video which is called Think Different. When Steve Jobs came back to Apple in the year 1984, he never showed you an Apple iPad. Literally, Hindi भाषा में अपना product नहीं चिपकाया उसने किसी के सामने आके, right? He never sold you an iPhone. He came to you and he said, the biggest problem today that I am facing as Apple is not the problem that my products are not selling. I think if I create a better marketing campaign, probably my products will sell more. Maybe in the next quarter, I'll have a better quarter. No. But that was never the vision. The vision was far different. The vision actually was, can I change absolutely an entire generation by their subconscious and now relate Patanjali to Shuddh and Think Different to Apple? And what they did was come up with this very, very amazing and inspiring campaign, which was called Think Different. And just that campaign changed absolutely all perception about Apple. Totally. It just totally changed Apple forever. And today, you heard Amit of Inc. 42, right? So when he was referring in his subconscious, when he said the word Apple, he said design. He said design, and he said something very interesting. That was a very interesting subconscious keyword that came from within him. I'm sure he hasn't prepared a speech to come here and talk about. So that's interesting. Now you got to again understand, and I'm again going back to my previous slide, which is Go back to your customers, talk to them in the most natural state that they are in. Don't create special meetings with them. Just go to them in their most natural habitat and try and have a conversation with them. Try and understand what are their true problems. Whether you want to do IoT, whether you want to do roti, I don't know. It doesn't matter. What matters is you would be able to powerfully solve a problem if you are able to understand that your customer has a problem. By the way, while talking to you, that same customer, that same man or woman will actually answer, imagine and give answers to his or her problems in a very subconscious level. Catch those words, record those conversations on phone or in the camera if you can, because those keywords will become your story. And then onwards, you will never have to run for multi-million-dollar budgets to market your story, ever. Trust me on that, and I'll prove that to you. Story number 5. The most powerful story of this generation, and I truly believe in this. In fact, I said this in the morning as well. I think everyone here, everyone in this room, and possibly every startup event that I've been a part of, is just trying to sell, is just trying to hard sell, is just trying to push market. But one very incredible, critical, and a phenomenal aspect of human life, this human, forget the fact that I'm wearing a coat and I'm a startup founder or I'm working with a sexy company right now. Just treat me as a normal person, a normal man who's speaking in front of you. The biggest problem today, and please raise your hands if you don't face it, is stress. Anyone who's not stressed at all? Anyone who's like, zindagi sab khush hai? Anyone, please. You're not stressed at all? कोई स्ट्रेस नहीं है. आपकी शादी हुई है? कमाल हो गया यार. ये तो सर मतलब एकदम सर मतलब कमाल हो. आपसे मैं अलग से मिलूंगा. सॉरी? कमाल है सर. मतलब ये तो बिल्कुल ऑफलाइन. Okay, cool. So okay, jokes apart. But that was a relevant question, by the way, Shadi wala. So, okay, cool. No. Apart from one gentleman in this room, by the way, this is my first ever time that someone has actually raised his hand and said that I am not stressed at all. And that's incredible. That's actually incredible. I love that. Because he's probably reached at a state of being which is way beyond us. But the interesting bit is the rest 99.999% of people in this room right now are stressed, probably because of their jobs, 9 to 5, maybe in their relationships, maybe whatever. But you are, let's be honest about it. I am. And that's fine. Maybe out of nothing, just purely out of the traffic out there on the streets. And the fact that I have to now drive from here to Gurgaon. And that's stress by itself, right? If you were to actually, whatever business that you are in, whether you are a technology company, whether you are a software company, whether you are a fashion company, whether you are an IoT company, whether you are a hardware startup, whether you are a fintech company, it doesn't matter. If you genuinely reach out to your customers and help them reduce stress, believe you me, 100% of the times, you will not have to worry about churn. A lot of people here probably, at least the startup founders, would understand what I'm talking about, the churn. The churn is when your users who've already come into your system, they leave out. And why so? Because ultimately for any human being, and that's why I said understand your customer on a man or a woman level, for any human being, the most important aspect is to live a better life. Aap kama kyun rahe ho? Why are you earning? To live a better life. Is it not so? Right? A better life, maybe a better house, maybe a better car, and that's fine. But we are all wanting to be away from stress. And reducing stress is probably what Sri Ravi Shankar, Sadhguru Baba Ramdev have done. Are they not successful business models? Well, yes, they are. And that's true. Now, let me take you through an interesting example. It might not actually be live, but I'm not sure if this laptop is connected to the internet, but if someone can probably go on that screen, if someone has access to that, someone has? Okay, cool. So just write Guru and Me, so GURUANDME.co, if you can, right? So here's the thing. As I promised to you that none of my slides will be theoretical bullshit. every slide will be a practical. No, so guruandme.co, GURUANDME.co. Quickly, please. .co. That's it. Thank you. Okay, cool. So here's the deal. About 2 months back, 2 months and about 12 days back, I started an experiment. And this experiment was something, thank you so much. Right? So I started an experiment, and this experiment was this. I said my life's mission is to help 100 million people reduce stress and live an extraordinary life. That's my life mission. ये एक ऐसा mission है जिसके लिए I will do anything to make this happen. 100 million people. And I will make this happen before I die. And that's a promise to myself. Now the point was this. How do you reach 100 million people, right? It's a huge number. It's an audacious number. But how do you reach out to them? And I realized that the first thing that we need to do is reach out to people and talk exactly what they want to hear when they are stressed. And when I started talking to a lot of good friends, reached out to them, I realized that practical life lessons, music, travel, and spirituality are things that actually make people feel good about themselves. Really, really good about themselves. And that's what we started doing. We started creating content. A lot of content. And content about what? About travel. As an example to you, one of the posts on this website actually takes you to Mount Kailash. Anyone ever heard of Mount Kailash? Right? So it takes you to Mount Kailash. When you read that post, you almost believe as if you're going through that journey of Mount Kailash. And after the journey, it gives you a life lesson, a practical life lesson that you can implement in your life and make a happier, a much better stress-free life. Now, interestingly, I didn't want to give you this example just to give you or sell you this website. No point. I wanted to give you this example because of a fact. 2 months and 12 days. On Facebook, there is a page by the same name, and this Facebook page has 87,000 plus viewers reach. 87,000 plus people have been reached in 2 months and 12 days, organically. Not bad. Or when I say organically, not even a penny spent, not a single rupee spent on making this happen. Simple stuff. Can you guys not do it? Absolutely, yes, you can. All that I am doing, by the way, is creating a platform wherein anyone comes, reads, gets a very honest perspective of life, and feels good about it. Trust me on this. And believe you me on this, I can challenge my guts and I can put all my life's earning on this. The biggest and the richest currency of the world today is not the dollar. It's not the euro. It's not the dirham. It's not the rupee. It's trust. The moment you create that, it will go viral. It has to. And that is what your story of a startup has to be. Whether to your investor, to your employee, or to your co-founder, or absolutely anyone else, including your customers. The moment you do that, and just for your information, all of this content now, very quickly, is being leveraged by corporates out there. So this platform has been reached out to by companies who are saying, look, we created a brand, and now our brand stands for something. But today we realize that the biggest problem in this world is that of stress. We have a couple of healthcare ventures working with us who we are creating content for. And by the way, we haven't yet sold our content. It's interesting, no? Why did I give you this example? It's because of a simple thing. That you guys could actually create similar platforms for yourself and reach out to your customers in a very different subconscious state of mind altogether. Once your customers start believing the fact that your solution or you by yourself are someone who will make their life happier, trust me, you will not have those problems of AARRRC, which is acquisition, activation, referral, retention, revenue, and then churn. That churn will actually be the lowest, always. It has to be. Because your customer will then not stick to you only because of that 2% or 5% extra discount, which is what e-commerce does today. The customer will stick to you because you've been amazing. My last investor, who lost 5 lakh rupees of his own money on me, and I, by the way, actually lost all of that 5 lakh rupees, still works along. And he says that, Paritosh, I work along with you even today for a simple reason, that I trust you. Maybe not today, maybe tomorrow you would do something interesting. And that's about it. That works. That's the biggest lesson of this storytelling session. And this is hilarious, this is funny, and this is interesting. How many medicines that you take, crocin or any such medicine that you take, you use shampoos, you use body care products and all of that. Most of these companies, they tell you something interesting. All their communication, every brand communicates this. They say that exhaustive research has been done on the product that you're buying. Everyone says this, right? Almost every. Now, go to psychology. If anyone here in this room has ever studied psychology, what it actually says is there is something called the delusion of rigorous research. Every company says this, that मैंने अगर ये साबुन बनाया है, तो behind this bar of soap the biggest example. Okay, let me now sort of come to it. The biggest con job of the past 2 decades. Anyone who could answer this question? What's the biggest con job of the past 2 decades? सबसे बड़ा झूठ जो आपके साथ बोला गया है पिछले 20 सालों में. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So one of the biggest actually has been something called green tea. It's true. There is no scientific proof of the fact that green tea actually helps you reduce weight. But no, 90% of plus people, and this is a research which states it, 90% plus people actually buy green tea with the perception that the moment that they would have it, it would help them reduce weight. It does not. It is total nonsense. But no, you do. And just so that you know, there are high premium brands. I, by the way, use them for my mother as well. But there are high premium brands who are selling this greatly finely packaged green tea in different flavors. A single box costs you over 900 rupees or something like that. It's 950 bucks or something like that. Crazy. But why? Just because people understand it. What I'm actually trying to build here is this. The moment you as founders understand the 2 interesting psychological factors, which is the delusion of positivity, which is what I said, right? That so most of the someone very interesting has said that entrepreneurship is almost jumping off the cliff and then building an airplane for yourself. Look, in basic sanity, no one will do it. Only the ones who are totally delusioned out of their own positivity will actually even think about doing this. And that's interesting because the more you create of it, the more you actually get people together. And by the way, this is one bit that also stands true for most investors who are investing in ventures which are not really making money. Probably just simply the founders have the power enough to influence their investors or their community in a far more positive manner compared to the rest of us. And that's about it, right? Try and use this delusion of rigorous research for yourself. Try and create content which will help your venture reach out to potential target audience with this whole delusion of rigorous research. Say that, yes, we have researched. Say that I've created a fact right here. By the way, there are a couple of very interesting ventures. I won't name them, but then they do, their entire business model is based on just this. They create content and they earn shit tons of money out of just that. On just research, which maybe has some validity to it, but a larger part of it does not. Delusion is a powerful natural state. It actually is. All of us right now here, let me prove it to you. You came to this event. Right? You came to this event, why? Anyone? No, sorry? Funding. Someone was in the state of delusion that he will possibly get funding, right? No, that's fine, and that's fine. I actually came with the same thought or motive as well. So, jokes apart. Okay, anyone else? Why? I'm sure someone would have seen big speakers, big pictures of speakers out there being spread on Facebook and on social media and on websites, and you thought, wow, this is it. यही तो वो जगह है जहाँ पे बस यही स्वर्ग है, right? And that, by the way, is exactly this, which is a state of creating delusion. The more powerful that you are in creating these delusions, the better that you become as a marketeer or as whatever that you want to be. It's simple. Um, I'm gonna move across very quickly to this, and this is gonna be interesting for everyone. Has anyone ever heard of 1.5 million Twitter impressions? I sort of I'm gonna repeat it again, which is 1.5 million Twitter impressions by spending $0, which is effectively 0 rupees. Anyone? Right? Let me take you through this very interesting experiment that we did. 15 August, right? हमारी आज़ादी का दिन होता है. 15th of August is the Independence Day for India, right? Now, Independence Day is something which is very passionate, right? I mean, we all say, we are in that zeal, in that moment, in that delusion that this is it, right? So what we did was this. I said, could I leverage this moment, right? Could I leverage this whole delusion wherein everyone is in this state of आज तो कुछ करके दिखाना है, right? And what we did was we started a hashtag on Twitter called Halla Bol. And we used 1 week, 7 days to spread Halla Bol on Facebook, right? So I basically reached out to the entire entrepreneurial ecosystem of India and said, for 1 hour, we will all get together on Twitter. For the first 15 minutes, there'd be founders who will start introducing their companies in about 140 characters. For the next 15 minutes, there would be people, experienced founders who've actually sold their companies. They were there, by the way, as part of this chat. And for the last 15 minutes or the last 30 minutes, there would be people from the media who would join in the conversation. So I created these little spikes of delusions wherein media, great founders, and people of that sort were there. And we said, use the hashtag called Halla Bol, because Halla Bol is that language of independence. Right? 1,900 plus unique startups tweeted on that day. The session went for 3 hours, which was basically intended for about 1 hour. And we trended nationally with 1.5 million Twitter impressions, exactly 0 rupees spent. Obviously, as an employee of a company, if you think that my cost is a cost which was part of this, there was a cost to it. But other than that, there was no cost to it. Brilliant. And no, you can clap. Okay, jokes apart. But no, what does it take to do it? It takes nothing to do it. All that it takes is you guys need to understand, build the story. Remember, it has to be dead simple. The product and the execution has to be dead simple, right? Email invoice, SMS invoice. For Patanjali, it was Shudh. For this, it was Twitter. Tweeting is dead simple. People are doing it right here, right? And interestingly, what would ultimately emerge for you is this massive community of people who would be exactly in the same delusional state, and they'll work with you, and they'll benefit you, and it's important. Okay, this is an interesting example that I generally share with a lot of people, but nothing professional about it though. So generally, me and my wife, every year we do one interesting experiment just to keep life interesting. And last year, we started an experiment called Kesaria. Right? Now, naam se bada acha lagta hai sun ke Kesaria, right? It's a very Indian Hindi name and sounds very, very good. We started selling kulfi faluda, okay? Now, generally, मुंह में बड़ा पानी आया था. I always find it very difficult to hold myself. But the point is, kulfi faluda is an interesting product. बड़ा छोटा सा product होता है, इतनी सी कुल्फी होती है, ऊपर faluda डाला होता है, and that's about it, right? So what I said was, I don't want to be a kulfi faluda seller. मैं कोई दुकान नहीं खोलूंगा और मैं कोई ठेला वेला लगाने वाला नहीं बनने वाला. But मुझे experiment करना है. Will people buy a brand at a much higher price or not of kulfi faluda? Right? So we started a Facebook page called Kesaria. It's still live, by the way. We don't do it anymore. It was just an experiment. And we started basically taking orders from Facebook. So people started reaching out. Arey wah, right? Kulfi faluda, aayegi ghar pe. So largely how it used to happen was I used to do my day job. I was consulting jabong.com at that point in time. And we used to only deliver in the night. So I would personally go and deliver, right? So if there's a party at your house, I will personally come and serve till the time the party ends, right? Now here's the key. We ended up selling 40,000 rupees worth of kulfi faluda in a single day at the DPS Noida Fest. How? What really worked out for us was this. It was not, obviously the product was good and the product was dead simple. The interesting bit was the story. None of the people who were buying kulfi faluda from us at 120 rupees a piece, which actually costed us just 40 bucks, the complete product,